And the siren sounds?
Surreal feeling. You can't put it to words. You don't realise what you've done until you see the smiles on people's faces and then they see the tears. Wow, this is incredible. So my attraction to Carlton was the blue and white, and I barracked for Carlton as a young lad. I don't know if I should say that out loud.
It's going to hurt a lot of people.
I've always wanted to play league football, running and training really hard. I'm going to play AFL footy. I want to play AFL footy. And I kept getting knocked back. Just too small, not good enough, whatever. Back then it was ruthless. Yeah, I like your hustle, but you cut. You know, the old Simpson episode. If you want to be successful, there's a few speed humps coming. Lee said we can offer you minimum wage, which was a big setback from where I'd been. And I said, no, I'll do it. I just backed myself in like I've always done. I'd rather have success than the money, whatever. You know, I'm not at Collingwood without my Brisbane stuff. This is a defining moment for this group. We played Friday night. Saturday morning, I couldn't get out of bed, tossing and turning of what to do. And my wife comes and gets me, you got the solutions, Craig. You know what to do. Just be you. And I had this moment of clarity going, right, I don't care what we've just done or what we've been. This is who we're going to be. And then we just got to work.
Got the heart of a hero, spirit of a champion.
How many times you watched the game back?
I'm probably close to 10. Close. Well, early days I'm thinking, I'm a bit bored, there's nothing else, so let's just whack it on.
Well, this is exciting. The reigning Premiership coach who just walked in here and said, I don't really like talking about myself, so this is going to be an interesting hour and a half. Craig McRae, welcome to the show, mate. I am very appreciative of your time. How are you going?
Thanks, Howie. Yeah, good to be here. It's not my favourite topic myself, I must admit.
So how are we going to negotiate? I said to you as soon as you walked in, the last person to say that was the wonderful superstar that is Elise Perry. I said, Elise, you're going to have to talk a little bit about yourself. She said, no, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. No, you probably see me sort of fidgety and jumping out of my seat, but see where we go, huh?
We'll try and make it as comfortable for you as possible. I was just thinking, MJ, who's been with me on this show from the start, and he's a massive Collingwood fan, and he was excited about you coming in here. And I was driving up and I was reflecting on some of the people that have been on this show, and three struck in my mind, mate. John Aloisi, the penalty goal in 2005. He's had 18 years of people wanting to talk positively about him. Kathy Freeman's now had 23 years of it, but the one that really struck me is, I don't know if you know him, a guy called John Bertrand. Oh, you know John? Right. Well, we can talk about John in a moment. So 1983, he wins the America's Cup. So he's had 40 years fly of people coming up and positively engaging with him because he did something very monumental in their lives. So you've had 4 months of it. What's it like when you walk into a room and there's a bloke here like MJ and it means the world to him what you and your club were able to achieve?
It means a lot. It means a lot. And I haven't lost sight of the nature of the success for Collingwood. And you know, just in the storytelling, you know, even just yesterday, just someone sharing a story about their sick brother and he got to see the game and what it meant to the whole family. And there's many, many tales like that. Yeah, I've tried to, as much as I can, step outside of the job and step into shoes of others. And my way of doing that in some ways, after every win, and we've had lucky enough to have a few, I go home and have a red wine and watch the replay, and then I watch the crowd and I listen and embed myself of others' feelings if I could or if I can. So I don't lose sight of it. And one of the things I wanted to do when I took over from the job was to take the fans on the ride, bring them along because of COVID, because of disconnection, because of paying membership without getting to go. One reason, but I think the club itself, Collingwood, I wanted to give the game, the club back to its people a bit, as much as I could, realistically. So that's been a bit of the storytelling. But I don't lose sight of the fact that this means a lot to a lot of people.
It will happen for you for the next 40, 50 years of your life. You will be that connection point where people want to come and say, hey, mate, I was here, I was there, I was watching it in Tokyo, or I was with my dog, or whatever it may be.
Well, John Bertrand, you mentioned his name. I've been lucky enough. It was literally the first week I started. We went for a walk of the Tan, and all the staff were just going to go for a walk and get to know each other. And I saw John at the lights up the top of the Tan, And we got a young staff there had no idea who he was, but I did. I grew up watching. I was only young, admittedly.
You would have been similar to me at the America's Cup.
Yeah, and I remember how big it was, and Bob Hawke and all the stories that go with it. And so I introduced myself, and I knew John was recently or previously involved with Collingwood in some capacity. I don't know if he was on the board, but I knew I'd seen him in the club before, a long time ago. Anyway, I introduced myself, and we started walking a little bit. He was getting a coffee. And I just said, "Oh, John, would you mind? Maybe we could catch up and walk the town together." And we exchanged numbers. And the next week, here I am next week walking the town with John Bertram, and I just can't. I'm just idolise the man. I've got a huge man crush. I've said this before, but he just makes my mind think like I've never thought, and listen to his storytelling, and he provokes questions, and
he's very inquisitive. I remember we finished the podcast, and he gave me 25 minutes of questions about the podcast and how it works and how you can increase your viewership or how you can make... He asked me all these questions. I thought, I'm 4 years into this and I haven't thought of any of these. And then he said, next week I'm off to Silicon Valley. I see why.
I know. He's such an inspiration, isn't he? And his wife, Raza, she's swimming in international meets, or not quite, but masters events and things at her age. And they're just an inspiration. So, I like surrounding myself with people like this that make you think differently and inspire you to do different things. So, yeah, he's one of the true legends of the world, isn't he?
So I'm sure, because there would be so many of them, but is there a particular interaction you might have had with someone post the grand final that maybe you didn't know that has expressed to you and it's hit you and thought, wow, this means so much, not to just us as our organisation, but to the greater community?
Oh, many. Yeah, that walking out to my doorstep 2 days after grand final, having an old man walking his dog just cry in front of me was like, wow. Like
was he really?
Just smacked me right in the eyes. And no, there's just many, and even just getting back to work now, where you see so many fans with just still smiles on their faces, and that's what the luxury of a premiership does, is you get that 6-month window of that you haven't lost a game, you haven't missed a kick, haven't missed a goal, and so you get to sit in it a bit. I think that's a bit of a luxury that people lose sight of.
How many times you watch the game back?
I'm probably close to 10. Close. but
and do you watch it for different things, or just watch it for the joy it provides?
Well, early days I'm thinking, I'm a bit bored, there's nothing else on, let's just whack it on. But yeah, I think I've seen little bits of it. Just in recent time, we've had a lot of, the things for commercial opportunities that, we're doing commentary to certain parts of it, and so it gets put back in your face. I'm not quite tired of it yet, but I'm definitely nearly close to just like, let's get busy and move on. There comes a time, doesn't there?
Well, talking about moving on, I can only imagine you normally finish on a Saturday at, say, 5 o'clock. I don't know how quickly your mind... Well, say Collingwood finishes a game at 5 o'clock. You're in the room to sing the song. How long till your mind, in a home and away, flicks to what's happening next Saturday at 2 o'clock?
Week to week?
Yeah.
Reasonably quickly. I must admit I've changed a lot in my life. I would go what's next really quickly.
Like, are we talking that night?
Oh...
Halfway through the song?
Sometimes my previous life as a person, I would be thinking really quickly, and it could be, it's halfway through the song in my life. But I've changed so much, and we all want to evolve and be better versions of ourselves. Well, at least I do, and I want to smell the roses more. I don't know why I haven't in the past, but I haven't had an ability to do it well, and maybe it's helped me move quickly. Okay, in good and bad. So it's, good times, so let's keep moving, and bad times, I've got to keep moving. So it's helped me get through and be resilient and things. But I've got to a point in my life I don't want to keep doing that. And I've said this to the players, particularly post game. We want to have deep wins. And I heard a podcast, Pippa Grange and Brene Brown talk about deep wins and shallow losses, and it really hit me. I go, no, well, that's just true. And talking about how people can feel unfulfilled after success because they have, shallow wins. And
what's next?
And I'm thinking, I've reflected a bit. I thought, that's true. And I don't want to have our players leave the game unfulfilled. And now premierships can be joyful, but do they fulfill you? There is a difference. Success is exciting and everyone wants it, but doesn't really fill your cup. And so we want to have an environment where we've created, and we pretty much this year we tried to have deep wins, sit in it for a bit longer, as much as we can, smell it, taste it. Hey, we're okay here, and then have an ability to get to work Monday and get better. And then conversely, if you lose, hey boys, shallow losses, we'll learn the lessons, we're moving on. So that was a bit of a mantra. So you rock up Monday and you wouldn't know if we won or lost. But yeah, I'm just subtly trying to buy more roses.
And how long did you have the roses period before you thought about season 2024 after season 2023?
Yeah, it was probably about 6 weeks.
And was that just a fantastic 6 weeks?
Yeah, it was. It was nice to sit in that. And like I said about the wins post grand final, you get a bit more grace. You don't have 5 days to prepare for the next game, or the what ifs and if onlys in life. So yeah, we sat in it and as a family, and then at the same time there's a lot of nappies to be changed.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so it's been a great time, and I don't recall a time in my life where I probably used the analogy that I've been a bit of a circus juggler in life. Trying to keep the balls in the air and of all sorts of things, and I haven't had too many times in my life where I felt like I'm juggling all the balls right now.
Right, which is great to hear. Before we get to where it all started for you, I know the boys came back and you were on a management course, and I know coaches do a lot of this. I've heard Chris Scott do it in the past. Did you go to Harvard?
I did, yeah.
So, but before what did you learn? How good's Harvard?
Yeah, well, the whole experience was incredible. You look at the rich history, and you think about who's been there, and then I'm embedded in this course with 150 people from 75 different countries, and not many know AFL footy. The only ones that knew it were the other Australians that were there.
Right.
So it was a great experience. The course itself was on authentic leadership.
Which means what?
Well, being authentic and leading with authenticity. And most people that know me think that's a bit of my one wood.
Yeah.
And I have good self-awareness. I think I do have good ability to be authentic and be real. And so I'm there, and the lecturer stands in front of us and says, "We're here to transform you and change you." I've just got my frill neck lizard up going, "You're not going to change me." And like most people in the world, we don't like to be changed or told they're going to change you. But I like to grow. So old grey gear from Sullivan's Beach in Adelaide, not prepared.
It's a long way from Harvard.
A long way from Harvard. If you Google Maps that, you'll find it's a long way from Harvard. And I put my hand up and said, "Oh, I don't really like the word change. I'm here to grow." And most people, I think, that I work with in our industry like the word growth, not change. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity for that. And I'm not sure if the lecturer liked it, but
You didn't
but
get kicked out on day one, did you?
Day one, I've got there's a warning, yellow card. But I think that sort of sums me up a little bit. I'm prepared to say what I feel, and I think that's being authentic. And not doesn't always mean I have to please everyone, but I did have this wrestling with myself about my wife's and I've just had a baby. She's home by herself, looking after her kids. Dan McStay's just done his name, literally the day before the course started. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm authentic, just go home. And I'm sitting in this course 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with all these opportunities that I've been thankfully given. But I couldn't help but think I just wanted to go home.
Mm.
So I'm wrestling with this in my head. And then it was a full 8 days. And I got to Wednesday and I thought, no, you've got to step in. And my wife goes, no, step in. And from that moment, I sort of released the inhibition, if you like. I embedded myself in the relationships with the people we're working with, which was really powerful.
When we get to the grand final, I was watching it, and I was watching certain players kick goals, and every one of them had a story. And I thought, I think I'll go through the grand final with the coach, and at certain moments, okay, Pendlebury kicks a goal here. How's he achieved what he has, which we'll get to. But the bloke that wasn't there is Dan McStay, and then he's re-injured himself. So with your, well, I don't know if it's your coach's hat, your human hat. Did you ring him? And what do you say with it? Well, you can go into a private conversation as much as you want, but what do you say about someone that you love and has strived and worked with you, and then it's taken away?
Well, the obvious thing is you don't know what to say, and whatever you say, you're thinking that it's not going to help. Other than I just generally go to a love and care and a love and support mindset where I'm just here for you, mate. And I don't know what that looks like in your eyes. I just want to be here for you, and and offering an arm to put around them or a hug or just some form of you're not alone. And everyone's different. Some are standoffish, and everyone goes through their own grieving period and coming to terms with things. He had an incredible positive mindset right from the start, which, funnily enough, has really helped his rehab. He's well ahead of schedule, so I don't know if that's something for others to think of.
Of course it does. Has to be.
Yeah, you'd wonder whether it's significant. But I think of Dan, like others that lose something. One, you have perspective. I've just hurt my knee. There's far many other things that are worse than this in life. But the perspective of go, all right, and I try to embed this because I think it's a great way of thinking of things. I've lost this, but what can I gain? And when you have an ability to go, I've lost this, what can I gain? Then you do change your mindset to go, right, where's my energy go? And then you stop thinking about things you don't have. And I think there's a great opportunity for those like Dan that's going to be out of the game to improve himself or find something else or create something more. If you look at him physically and you go, wow, he's gained. He looks massive. He's huge and strong. And so there's one thing. The other part of it is how does he improve himself? A young man that has there opportunities to improve himself in other ways. So there's some of the things that not at the time, but as the dust settles a little bit and there's an opportunity to then look a bit clearer. There's some things we've talked about.
Tell me about Sullivan's Beach and footy and you growing up as a young fella. This is going to be hard now. He's nervously reached for a glass of water. You were rubbing your arms before and I thought, there's not a man that's relaxed. And now you've gone for maybe Tommy can get something in it. Every bloke in your team's brought out a premiership wine. Maybe we should have lined a few of those up at Darcy Moore or Scott Pendlebury.
I'm really proud of where I've come from. Really proud.
Which is where?
Sullivan's Beach. It's south of Adelaide. It's near Christie's Beach, near South Adelaide Footy Club. My mum, we lived in this house. It's a very housing trust house that my mum just sold and got a record price for not much money, but she's moved into a retirement home. On our street, it was a really small street in this suburb of 1,000 people. I had another guy that we grew up with. He played AFL footy too. He was a year older than me, maybe two. And there's two guys that played AFL footy from this one street that you go, wow, how does that happen? And I don't know, we just had this unique, maybe most people in that time would just be the same storytelling, is we got home from school and you didn't need to come home until dinner was ready. Mm-hmm. And quite often that was, get inside, dinner's on the table stuff. So we would ride bikes, play cricket, kick the footy all the time. We had this incredible big park at the end of the street where we had the luxury of hitting golf balls as far as we could hit them, play footy, the footy clubs down the road, a school was a walking distance. It was just such a good time. And so we were so constantly doing something. So that 10,000 hours rule of learning a skill, we'd had that by 6. Yeah. Like we were that busy doing sport and we were right near the beach too. So we had the luxury to go to the beach, and I'm very fortunate for my upbringing. It was Dad was a welder, worked extremely hard. He taught me a great work ethic. 40 years as a labourer, a welder. Mum was a stay-home mum and just provided for us. Mum's 4'10".
Is she?
Yeah. So yeah. She doesn't look up to people look up to her, not quite. But she's got a beautiful, caring soul.
So your dad was old school work ethic.
Yeah, dad was old school. I do recall being sort of, I was tiny, as praying to God that I could grow, and I like matured too. I finished high school at 16 for some. I don't know how this happened. I still don't know how, but I finished high school at 16 and I went to university to be a teacher, and I'd finished my uni degree at 19.
Wow!
And I look back and I go, I barely had chest on my hair. I was a late developer.
You didn't miss a cut. You didn't go from year 7 to year 9.
I don't know. No one can explain it to me. So picture like underdeveloped, hadn't gone through puberty, finishing year 12. It was awkward.
Yeah.
And so then picture that also mum 4'10". I'm not an overly big guy. I'm skinny and small and playing, footy and I'd like to think I was, a pretty good footballer at that age. But Dad made me earn everything I got. I keep referring this story at Christmas time. I kicked 12 goals one day in an under 13 game, and Dad was the coach, but also had to be the umpire for some games, and then we'll do 3-2-1 votes. And so I kicked 12 goals, won, and I missed out on winning the league best and fairest by one vote. But Dad didn't give me a vote that day.
Tell me 2 kids had 70 and 5.
I've gone, geez, the other kids must have been pretty good.
Oh, wow.
But he still tells me, oh, you had to learn the lesson. I was like, what lesson's that?
Lesson?
Yeah, kick 12 and don't get it. Get a vote.
Who's the other chap in your street that played footy?
Mark Visker, his name is.
Oh,
He
yeah.
played for the Adelaide Crows.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and so we had, a lot of joy growing up. But yeah, that's somewhat of a snapshot of where I come from. And
So who'd you first play footy for?
I played for a Solomons Beach primary school, and then we went to high school and played for Hackham for a bit, and then back to a Solomons Beach club really close to home. And all my mates. Now I went back at Christmas time. I go back and stay at a caravan park not far from where I grew up, and I catch up with all my mates. They come over to the grand final. My friends now are the ones I've known since primary school and kindergarten, and we've had 50th birthdays together. Still, it's a great connection to. And I stand by it. I'll never forget where I come from.
And did you always want to play footy, or was footy just something you did? Like, obviously, you were going down, you'd obviously educated yourself as well, so there was a plan B, but footy was plan A or no?
Yeah, I used to sleep with a little soft footy.
Did you?
I love footy.
Who'd you
Absolutely
go
love
for?
it. I went for South Adelaide,
Right.
which was the Blue and White Panthers, and they didn't have much success back then, I must admit. Still not sure if they've had much more. and a guy called Mark Nailey, who unfortunately passed, he played State of Origin footy for South Australia, and he went to Carlton.
Yes.
So my attraction to Carlton was the blue and white, and I barracked for Carlton as a young lad growing up, so I don't know if I should say that out loud.
It's going to hurt a lot of people. And who were you guys apart from Mark Nailey?
Stephen Kernahan,
right.
Craig Bradley,
So the
all
South
the
Australians.
South Australians. And then growing up, the State of Origin was the biggest thing you can imagine, like watching these guys against Victoria at Footy Park and the cold winter seats. And yeah, they were my memories. And I idolised it, and I always wanted to play league football, or South Australian, SANFL football was really strong at that time. There was no Crows. So I had aspired to play South Australian footy, and I've always had an ambition to. And as you do as a kid, you have dreams, and then as you become an adult, they become goals. So my dreams become goals, and I vividly remember running and training really hard. And then when you get into a rhythm of breathing, like that sort of stuff, I would constantly just run, go, I'm going to play AFL footy. I want to play AFL footy.
Wow.
And I just drove myself to this goal that I had an ambition for.
And with the guys you eventually played with, on purely a talent level, I don't know, you can tell me who was a 10 that you played with talent level, whether it was Ackermanis or Voss or Brown. What number did you sit on the talent scale of 1 to 10?
I'm going to be low down the order compared to those guys. It's funny though, just quickly go back to Solomons Beach. I had a mate who was a state basketballer, and he played for an opposition team to Christie's Beach, and he kicked 150 goals in under 16s, and like elite state basketball, 150 goals, and he didn't want to play over footy. Yeah, and I still love him. Ashley Bird, if you're listening, you're a great man, super talent, but he chose a different pathway, and I think that's probably. For me, I maybe wasn't as talented as him, but I wanted it.
Yep.
And I was prepared to do whatever it takes and train hard and things. And I'm probably using that language when you compare me to trying to get me to rate myself versus Brown, Ackermanis, these guys. I had talent to make AFL footy, but I had a desire to get the best out of myself.
On 200 plus episodes of this show, and I always use the analogy, for the 4 Ricky Pontings that have been on this show, they're ever going to make it. There's 195 Justin Langers who got knocked back along the way, but
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about is desire.
Yeah, well, I remember getting through the pathway to Glenelg because, funny enough, where I grew up, there's a creek, and then if you lit on the right side of the creek, you're Glenelg.
Right.
And this is such a small little pocket. Left side, you're South Adelaide, and I'm just a stone throw over the creek, so I'm at Glenelg's pathway.
Right.
I don't know how it worked, barracking for South Adelaide. But I remember the pathway, and I kept getting knocked back. Just too small, not good enough, whatever. And a turning point for me was under 17s. I'm trying out and to do the full pre-season with a group of my friends, and they made it, and I didn't. And I did the whole 3 months, and I remember they saying, sorry guys, you cut. And back then it was ruthless. Yeah, I like your hustle, but you cut. The old Simpson episode.
I didn't expect the Simpsons to get a roll out
I
of
like you, but you're cut. And so I'm getting looked in the eyes, I'm cut. But then they go, what we're offering is if you want to stay around, you can keep training, you can. But we understand, go back to your local clubs. Well, I stayed, and I kept training without playing. And I remember I just kept turning up, and it was like halfway through the year, they're going, why is this little fella still turning up? But I did. And then, back then, a group of guys got sick, middle of winter, and there's 5, 6 guys couldn't play. And we're going, who are we going to pick? Oh, not that little kid, surely not.
It's the water boy.
Yeah, is he still here? and they played me. And I remember I was so ready and I was so determined, and I'd done all the work, and I went out there and I kicked 7 goals.
Kick 7?
7, and then I've played every game after that.
For Glenelg?
For Glenelg under
In your
17s.
first game?
Under 17s, yeah. So
Wow.
Then that sort of for me it was something I hung on to and going, hey, don't give up here, never give up.
Yep.
Just keep persevering, and things don't always look rosy for some, and this is my story.
So in my head, obviously you went to Brisbane and had that tremendous success, but reading about it and talking about it with Tommy, you went to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So you got drafted to the Bears?
Yeah.
So how did that work? What was it like?
Yeah, I was drafted to the Bears. I was drafted in the mid-season, the pre-season draft back then.
Okay.
And
What year are we talking?
93.
Right.
And then Robert Walls was the coach. And back then they said, I've grown up by now. I've gone through puberty just.
You got some chest hair?
Yeah, just. And then I'm quite light. So I was about 60 kilos. And
60 kilos?
60 kilos. But
when you were bagging goals for Glenelg?
Yeah, but I had speed and I was really quick, and so that was an asset. And then, I could kick the ball a long way for a little fella. So they
Left footer?
Yeah, left footer. And so they said, Robert Walls, I remember talking to him over not the payphone, normal ring, the old phones. He said, look, just stay. Play it the next year with Glenelg, develop yourself. I thought, this is perfect. I'm playing SNFL footy. Choco Williams, my first coach. And I'm playing footy, and I thought that competition is better than the reserves in Brisbane, just my mind. I don't know if that was real, but that's what I thought. So I played the whole year with Glenelg, and then I got a groin injury late, where the old OP type thing, and I had to have an operation. And that set me back in my mindset. I thought, well, I wanted to go up there with, here I come and I'm going to play. But I didn't have that excitement, so I decided not to go. And then I remember Robert Walls going, what do you mean? Like, I got my dad to ring because I was scared to ring. Dad, can you ring him, tell him I'm not going? And my dad, being as he is, he goes,
What's your dad's name?
He's not Kevin.
Kev.
He's not coming. And I remember I'm in the lounge room, he goes, I don't care what you say, he's not coming.
This is to Robert Walls.
Yeah. And I can't imagine how that's going down the other end. 'cause
Not too good.
Now that I know Wallsy, that's not going to be a great conversation for my dad to hear. But I decided not to go, and I stood my ground, and somewhat naive, but also somewhat of me being me. So no, I'm just going to back myself in here. If I'm going to have another year at SNFL, which again I thought was better than Queensland football, if Brisbane dropped me off, I'm going to have that good a year. I'm going to work that hard that someone else will pick me up. Now, I know that now is so naive. But at the time, that was my plan in my head. So I recovered from my groin operation, and then got to work, and then had a really good season, and then went up to Brisbane.
And what was... Because when we think Brisbane now, we think the Warwick Kappa and Carrara and Wolsey, being a pretty rough coach, and there being, what was his name? Ruben the bloke that owned the place, and
Christopher Skase.
Christopher Skase, and like what was the Brisbane Bears to you?
At that time, it wasn't had no success attached to it, and it was sort of like wasn't really in my thinking. Like I said to you, I'm breathing. I want to play AFL footy when I'm running, so it was a desire to. It wasn't really about that, and I knew that there was a lot of youth there, and I didn't know who and what at that stage. But I went up there, and I was 21 by that stage, but still looking 16. And so I've gone up there, and there's all of a sudden I rock up, and there's young Jason Ackermanis starting the same year as me, Clark Keating just starting, Michael Voss was there, Nigel Lappin had just been drafted, Justin Lepage had just been drafted, Chris Scott had just been drafted, and then Darryl White was just in his second year, and all of a sudden, like, I didn't know at the time, because you just think, oh, geez, we're all young, and we were all growing up away from home in the same place, and we made the finals in my first year.
Who was your first game against? First, say you've been living and breathing. When do you first play?
Played Waverley against Hawthorn. We lost by 10 goals.
Against the Mighty Hawks?
Yeah, 10 goals.
Who'd you play on?
Andy Collins.
Andy Collins?
Yeah, kicked a couple of goals on him.
Did you? So you kicked a couple in your first game?
Yeah. And I remember back then it was fear. The coach was for fear, and Wolsey we lost by 10. Ross Lyon played in that game, from memory. We sat down after the game, and this is my first game. Wolsey just gets the finger out, starts pointing at every player and telling them how bad they were. And I remember telling Chris Scott, who was a big pumpkin head because he just won the Rising Star the year before, and he goes through, and there's some really big words that can't be said here, and really demeaning stuff too. Like, I'm not sure how this is helping. Like, are you trying to make me feel bad? And he gets to me and he points to me, he goes, well, it was your first game. We can't expect much more. And then, and then the next one. But it was just crazy back then. What we thought was normal. Yeah. But
it's funny you say that, because we'll get back there, but to jump forward, I can't remember which final it was. We were calling it on Triple M, and Darcy Moore leads the team out, and DeGoey's behind him, and the two Dacos boys, and then I think the Crisper and Maynard. And I remember describing along the lines of, these blokes look like they're going to a 21st. Like, they just looked so happy. And Jason and Luke, not so much Nathan, because Nathan is a very sort of happy-go-lucky, but Jason and Luke almost couldn't identify with that it was even the same sport that they were playing, because they grew up exactly what you're talking about. Jeans and Terry for Luke, and there's your blokes running out looking like they've had 3 vodka cruises and they're off to 21st. It's extraordinary.
Well, I hope they're not.
I'm sure they were.
But you'd be blown away with the energy they have in the rooms before they go out there. And I've let them have that. Like, I shouldn't say let them have that. It's theirs. I'm not in control of that, nor should I be. But we make match day more of like, not a celebration, but an opportunity to go out and do what we've done all week. If you don't do the work, Howie, and this is not just in footy, if you don't do the work, you end up hoping things are going to come out.
Yes.
When you do the work, there's more belief, and we talk about that. I hate the word confidence, and because in my head I don't know what that means. Like, what is it? Like, I can't perform because I'm not confident. And I just had these 20-minute interviews with all the young players in the last week or so, and the amount of times players talk about, oh, geez, you're going well. Oh, because I'm confident. I said, okay, tell me what that means. And so that word in itself we break down, and so through actions, you do the work, you believe you've done the work, and then you should feel confident because you've done the work. And confidence is an outcome. So, you can't jump up and do confidence for me, but you can do things that you can act confidently, if that makes sense to you. But so we constantly put in front of the players evidence why they should feel confident. GPS measures, PBs in the gym, training standards are really high.
So hard data.
Facts. Deal in facts and things that are real. Number 1 pressure team in the competition right now. Boys, let's bring the heat. We should feel confident in this place. See, the language is different.
Yes.
Let's be confident and we can go win. So we talk about process a lot. So when you do the work, match day for us is, and I've said this before, really my utopia is to watch it in the pub with some mates, because we've done the work. Players take over, go do the job. That's unrealistic, I know, but it's a handing over of all right, match day, go and do, go perform and execute what we need to do. And the players themselves have got a space of comfort. They're allowed to express themselves. We're allowed to have a laugh. Like you said, back in the day, Robert Walls, I remember losing a game, as we often did in Melbourne, and we'd get back after the game and he'd go, I knew it. I saw your attitudes on the bus when we arrived at the airport. I saw it, I could see it coming. I'm kind of, oh God, wow, Nostradamus here. We laughed on the bus, so we lost. Now, in reflection, and hopefully Wolsey's not listening, but that is quite ridiculous.
Yes.
Isn't it? Like,
yes.
That drawing an analogy between laughing on a bus and not performing, I think what we've developed over time is realising that a lot of things don't matter. And the things that matter are, one, doing the work to be prepared to execute, and then two, just doing it. Just execute your role and be present to it. So anything in between, really, having a smile in the meeting room or having loud music, does it help or hinder you? I think individuals probably have to weigh that up.
It's you know what it is? It's a great example, and I've used it with both my kids. The Darcy Moore example, that my young bloke at the moment, he's obsessed by cricket, and he loves playing cricket. But then if he gets out, the world collapses on him. And I was like, mate, look at those Collingwood blokes. They're getting paid a lot of money. The whole world's watching them under pressure, but look how much fun they're having.
Yeah.
Never lose sight of that.
Yeah.
So it's a great, and I know you're a father. It's a great example when you talk about. You just had meeting with the young kids, so not a specific player here. So you have a meeting with an 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think of myself at 18 and what I didn't know about the world. You have a meeting with an 18-year-old and he's exhibiting behaviour that you can see is going to, I don't mean going out on the terps, but just not behaviour that's going to allow him to succeed in his football career, for example. How do you impart that wisdom on him? Is it right there and then, or do you put in your mind, right, over the next 6 months, I've got to keep an eye out for Joe Bloggs to work in it? How do you go about shaping those young men to helping they achieve what they want to achieve when they don't know yet what they need to be?
Yeah, that's right. And reflecting that I thought I had to be serious.
Yeah.
Before a game was the worst thing possibly for me.
Right.
Personality profiling brought that to my attention late in my career. And so you're trying to, for many of these young lads, trying to get the habits right. Create the habits. And so back in the day when I was development coach for 15 years, I would always have a checklist. And it wasn't my checklist, it was theirs. But it was put into a checklist things that you want to achieve Monday to Friday. So then Saturday you could just pack your bag and have comfort to go play. So we'd work it out. We sit down what it looked like. For some it would vary, but it was things like, sleep, what time I'm going to bed, tick. My diet, have I managed my diet, blah, 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 all the way down to training standards and then some whatever. So, but Scott Pendlebury doesn't have a checklist. But he's done it for so long that he just does it. It's habitual now. So you're trying to develop habits that will then become habitual, and then you don't have to think about them. For some, one young lad come with this incredible list of things that he's doing to now be confident. Like he said, I just feel really confident. I said, why? And he says, well, look at this. This is what I've done. And it was extensive. I go, wow, credit to you. But that's not for everyone.
No.
So you've got to find guys that don't have structure, develop structure for them. So then these habits, and then guys that have structure, don't let the structure control you too much. You got to find the balance of like, just, hey, you let something of that go and just be free. So everyone's a little bit different, but I think bottom line to answer your question is trying to create continuous habits that just become your routine, and then the habits will become muscle memory.
So then when you're at Brisbane and you're not a kid at this stage and you're going into your successful period, you're coached by Lee Matthews. Did you have personally these one-on-ones with Lee?
No.
Right. So you Lee's never instilling anything new as an individual?
No, yes, many things. But they're a bit more wise old owl stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
The great story of humbleness and gratefulness and appreciative of what you got and team.
But that's to the group, is it, as
Yes.
opposed to the individual? So you're not wandering into Lee's office and he's saying, okay.
No, I think I've probably had one or two conversations a year with Lee, and that's mainly in the hallway as we're walking past each other.
But that's no reflection on him or you. That's just how professional sport has changed, and you're at the forefront of that change, obviously.
Yeah, and I think going back to the way we were coached, it was being told, and it was fear. Most of us were coached through fear.
So you played through fear?
Yeah, mostly. I think Lee had an aura as opposed to fear.
Still does, to be fair. When
Yeah,
I
he
see him
does,
in
yeah.
the media area, I feel like calling him Mr. Matthews. I seriously do.
Yeah, he's got an aura and he has a presence, and and I think he has an incredible ability to manage people and what people need, and coach individuals to what they need. But it's different now. Like teaching was different. Teaching now, the whole world evolves. I think rightly so. We'd like to be. We'd like to have affirmation for when we do things well, and so we should enjoy things, have fun doing it, like you're saying to your young ones. So like let's have fun doing it, because there's a lot of things in life that aren't much fun, aren't they? So, but life's changed a lot, hasn't it?
So 3 premierships, like regardless of coaching, like you're a triple premiership player, which in our game is the creme de la creme. It's an extraordinary thing that you and your team achieved, and they're great to watch, your football team. From those 3 premierships, just give me, it doesn't have to be a significant moment, just give me something that sticks out in the mind, in a game of football, in a grand final, post a grand final, just something that you hold on to, you think, gee, I was part of something pretty cool.
Yeah, there's many. I probably even now, when we catch up, like I caught up the day after the grand final, and went and saw most of the guys were there, including Lee.
So there was a reunion after.
Yeah.
So you just won the premiership and you went to the Brisbane reunion.
Yeah, and I went the year before, and I thought to myself, I'm always going to turn up, because back to my Sullivan's Beach days. Never forget where you come from. I'm not here without my Sullivan's Beach days. I'm not talking to Howie's Games and podcasts.
Feeling uncomfortable drinking your water.
G'day, Gav. I'm on. I've made it. Gav's my wife. But I'm not at Collingwood without my Brisbane stuff. So I go back with great respect and admiration for my time there, and gratefulness. So I go back there, and one of the things that stands out for me now, I don't know what comes first, and I still don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do. Quality character of people and success, or success and then we're all just good people. Like what I'm torn in between. You clearly need talent, but there's so many quality people in that premiership group. There's just, and different versions of it. Pikey,
Yeah.
Pikey's a unique individual, but wow, what a caring guy that's put this whole thing together, the reunion. There's just different qualities, but there's amazing depth of quality amongst the humans there. Which I don't lose sight of. So I'm great to be part of that team, but there's so many people there that I just admire and inspired by.
You talk about now you try and enjoy the depths of the wins. As a player, once you win your first premiership, are you revelling in that, or are you Kelly Slater starting to think about the second?
Lee was probably the catalyst for us all to move quickly, and we, if anything, become more Lee by the end of it. But early days when he is like, good luck, that we're going to enjoy this for the rest of our life. But then the reality sets in that you get back to work, 6 weeks later, whatever it looks like, even more than that. I do remember when the first premiership, and I'm a spare parts player, didn't play much game time on the grand final day, so you're sort of like, I won, but there's this little bit of like, get me on the ground, I want to do more. I know you played all year and contributed to helping the team.
You didn't
get there.
sort of Travis Kelce give Lee a push and a shove like
No,
the coach did, you?
Not quite. No, but there's this. So I was out of contract, and then there's some
After the first one?
Yeah, and Lee rang me about a week later, said, can I come over? And we lived in the same suburb, and I thought, God, I better tidy up. Lee's coming over, and he comes. He's there in 5 minutes, and he tells me, we don't have a contract for you. And so this sort of stuff just keeps repeating in my life, that you're going to have to keep earning things to get where you want to be successful. There's a few speed humps coming, and so don't have a contract for you. Celebrations for 2 or 3 days. Don't have a contract. Okay, what do I do? And he goes, explore your options. And I'm going, okay, wow, right. Get on the phone to my manager. Still didn't get a tattoo, but the tattoo's still wet for most. And I'm trying to resonate with this and come to terms with all this. And then so my manager got busy, and there was a couple of offers to go back to Adelaide, and that was really getting really close to happening.
To go to the Crows?
Crows, and it was a 3-year contract and way more money than zero. And then so I started to think, God, I'm going to have to go back to Adelaide, and not that I wanted to at that time. And somehow within that 3 or 4 week period of finding what's next, Lee said we can offer you minimum wage and games money per game, which was a big setback from where I'd been a sort of 7-year player, 8-year player. And I said, no, I'll do it.
Why? Why did you take that over the comfort and security and going home?
1-year contract too. 1-year contract, minimum wage, earn your money.
Pay to play.
Pay to play.
Yep.
And I thought, if I get injured, I'm in trouble. I just backed myself in like I've always done. Like I said, I'm not going to go to Brisbane. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a great year. I'm going to train like I've never trained. I'm going to prove you wrong, Lee, and you're going to. And I just had this show you I can do this. Hence maybe the knockbacks along the way. Here it comes repeating the same story, and I did. I didn't stop training, and I trained and was fitter than I've ever been, and had a great season 2002.
Won another premiership.
Won another premiership. And then what do you reckon happened, Howie?
Oh, he didn't come again, did he?
Unfortunately, we don't have enough money in the Salary Cap.
The second one?
Yep. And then what do you reckon happened in the third one, Howie? It's just a 1-year contracts at minimum wage.
Really?
And after the first one, I realised, you know what, this is just what it is. I'd rather have success than the attachment to, is it money, whatever, So I wanted to be part of a great team. And, I got paid minimum wage and earned my money throughout the whole time. Throughout all the premierships.
Did he ever? I know it's a different generation, and I don't know Lee on an intimate level. But did he ever pull you aside and say, "You stuck it out, you've done it, and now"?
No, not really. No, but he had this, and these are the lessons I've learned and I use continuously. I was a role player. He would value all of us. Sean Hart, myself. Guys that would play roles for the team. Brad Scott was an incredible role player, and he'd glorify our roles to the group, because Fossey, he's getting accolades. Simon Black's winning Brownlow medals. Acker's all Australian. Lepper's all Australian, and all this is going on. But us little fellas, down here doing our bit for the team, and yes sir, no sir, 3 bags, we're in. I'll do whatever the team needs. He would make sure that the whole group valued it. And the external world didn't find it sexy to be a chasing forward at that time, and that's what Lee valued.
But the external world finds it sexy that you're a triple premiership player and one of the greatest teams that's ever played the game.
Yeah, and I'm grateful to be part of that, and happy to be mentioned. I don't even know where my medals are, but the attachment to the team, and I see that now. I'm a role player at Collingwood. Everyone's sort of saying, you're the coach, and can I get a selfie? But I'm the role player because I'm just doing my job, what the club needs right now.
You don't know where your premiership medals are?
I don't know where my Brisbane ones are. No, I think my wife's got them in a makeup bag somewhere. I don't know where they are.
but you were the, and I heard Michael talk about this in an interview. I think it was on the Wireless on Triple M, which I didn't know, that you were the king of Mad Monday organisations.
Yeah. I think this is where my coaching stuff started from.
Right. Okay. Well, this is a theme I'd like to explore.
Yeah, it's a part of I like having fun. I do. I like having fun. I wouldn't drink all year, nor could I, because I was on a knife's edge to try to keep myself in the game. But I was disciplined. But after the season, and Vossi was the same. We were great mates. We'd have beers. We'd drink together and celebrate the successes. And so Mad Monday, really, it stemmed from before the premierships. We'd have Mad Monday, and we had a group, and some would just cause a bit of trouble. And I hated it. Like I didn't drink, and at the end, I want to have a beer with the boys. And so my idea was go to a pub, have a beer with the boys, have some fun. And so then we would get kicked out everywhere. I'm going, oh God, this is the 4th place we've been kicked out. Are you serious? Can we not do this? Like, what are we doing?
This is not fun.
No, why are we doing this? Like, guys dropping trays of glasses. I go, what are you doing? Can they not? And so I was determined not to have that repeated. That was 1 year before. I said, you know what? I'm going to run it. I'm going to make it an event. And so they had a whole year of planning this, and I got Bossy on board. He's the captain. Yeah, Fly's running the Mad Monday, so he gave me the green light to go ahead with it. And then I got Leper involved, and we made it an event, and it just grew over the years.
What type of an event?
Well, the grand poobah of the best events
Yes.
was the 2003 one, where we actually had a ring for boxing, like oversized glove, and we had a card of like the main event versus, and we had star fighting players with big gloves, and we had the corporates come down, had a corporate box for them, and we had toad races. We had
Toad race. That sounds real Queensland.
yeah, it was, and then we had there's so many layers to it. We had national anthem with Joel McDonald was a player. He was a great singer. He played the national anthem, and we had everything. Referees, and when we moved, some of the guys liked having a bet on the races, and we moved the event. I decided to move, and there was none of that, and I got some backlash. So I recorded on a VHS some of the races.
I stuck them on.
And I put them on and put our own odds to it. So, and then we auctioned it off if you wanted to buy it. So it went pretty big. That was probably the most memorable.
Do you think it's just struck me? It's not yours wholly and solely, and I know that's what you'll say to me. But do you think maybe the biggest gift you're giving to football is making it fun? It's a precious thing. Like, it's such a serious industry, and it's analysis, and there's this bloke hasn't done a good job this week, and he's castigated because he didn't mark this ball running back with a flight, but it's fun with you.
Well, it's a long bow to think that I'm the master of fun for the game, but I do want to make sure that our players have that deep wins, shallow losses mentality, so when they leave the game, that their cup's not empty and they're not fulfilled. Because we're in such a competitive industry that we've got to find balance. We've got to find balance within what we're doing. And if you come to training and watch us train, we have this boundary line philosophy that you step over it and you are on. And when I say on, it's some of the best standards you'll ever see. And when it's not, I'm driving, I'm going, hang on, that's not us. But you step off, take a breath, talk about what you're doing tomorrow, and have a laugh, go get a drink, get some massage, whatever. All right, boys, back up onto the line. We're ready to go for the next drill? Run on and we go. And I think the analogy of a wicketkeeper that is in the field for 90 overs, he's not on for 90 overs. He's sit there ready for the ball, grabs it, throws it the slips, crosses his arms, talks about, geez, look at that over there. Like that's the approach we want to have. Now, in 90 minutes of footy or 120 minutes of footy on Saturday, there ain't much space in there to find for the breaths. So we've got to find places where it fits.
I love it. How are you finding this, talking about yourself so far?
I don't know, how's it going?
That's going beautifully.
Okay. Maybe a little bit less about me.
Okay, well, we'll talk about...
What about you, Howie? What's going on with you?
Well, it's funny, the first thing you walked in here and you said, you've just finished the cricket, there's not long with footy, and you said, how's your balance? And it's a really good question in 2024, I think, for everybody, isn't it? How's your balance?
Yeah. Yeah,
because like your role, I've seen and I've worked with blokes that have done it. I worked with Rossi when he came out of Fremantle and various people, and it's like, it just seems to be all consuming.
It is.
So how do you achieve the balance?
It is, and
this is back to you now.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
That was clever, wasn't it?
Yeah, 15 love. Brendan Bolton went to a leadership course the other day and came back with this thing about we're all busy. Everyone is. Talking to one of our young players the other day, and I'm trying to not use the word busy.
You've got to be careful you don't use it as a badge of honour. Hey,
Correct.
going, mate, I've been flat out all summer, I've been working the ring off.
I'm busy, mate.
Haven't seen the wife and kids. It's like, hang on.
Yeah, that's right. And that's exactly how he described it to me. So I'm trying not to use the word because we all are. We'll have a different version of it. And so I'm talking to young Bo McRae the other day, and I said, what do you got on today, mate? He goes, oh, geez, I'm busy. I said, oh, funny enough, I'm trying not to use the word, but it's a lot going on. And he goes, yeah, I'm really busy. And I said, oh, what are you doing this afternoon? He goes, oh, I don't know, might get some lunch.
This is a man without kids.
Yeah.
This is a man that's still having a 3-hour focaccia and coffee with his mates.
But he's busy. Well, we all think we are. And, but I think more than ever, the world we're living in, it's a tough world out there. And so everyone's finding less time to do things for themselves or less time to do things as a family. And it's a struggle. It really is. So I'm determined to try to keep finding that. I know in our schedule, I'm deliberate, and we are deliberate in giving gaps. We've brought in that we start on Tuesday late so you can drop your kids at school. Staff and coaches drop the kids at school, start at 10 o'clock. And we finish another day early so you can pick your kids up from school. And it's amazing the energy that's giving our staff, including myself. It's the best day of the week to drop my little girl at school.
It is.
Walk in and, I said...
Hold your hand.
Oh, no, it's gold. And so think about that. It's not going to be forever. So this time that's lost, that I don't know for... this is my 19th year in coaching footy, and the amount of time I've lost through the way that the system's set up, that, we've got to work to the bone, and you've got to code the game after the game at midnight because we need a meeting at 7 a.m. It has to be ready. That is not going to be the environment I'm involved in. So I'm trying to create a schedule. We are trying to create a schedule where there's air and balance. Now, what you do within that time, including myself, I'm struggling to find the right amount of balance and what that looks like. But family first is a thing we have at our club. So any decisions around family, they come first.
Completely separate path. Talking about family first. You have daughters. Is anyone going to Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I've got.
Are you going?
Yeah.
Now I've got questions for you now. Okay, but before you go into this, so I'd promised my daughter tickets, and then I got busy, and I didn't get the tickets.
Right.
And I was like, shit. So I hope my boss is not listening. On the second T20, I thought, right, I've got to do something about this. So I announced, we're on the world feed, so it goes everywhere, that I need some Taylor Swift tickets. And I now have secured some.
Well done.
Via a very friendly person that was listening to the cricket that could no longer go, got in touch via email, told my daughter, and I was in Perth, and I rang her and said, I just got to send you a text message, and I sent her a message of the ticket. And she declared it. Now, her mum, who is a Trojan and a Wonder Woman, has been with those kids all summer doing everything. And I've sent a text message of the ticket, to which my daughter's declared it the single greatest moment of her life. And I'm thinking, this is good for me as a dad, but I think we need to show mum a little bit more love. But then I pick her up yesterday and she explains to me, Craig, so are you going?
Yes.
Right, so you may not know this, but you need to decide this. You have to dress relating to one of the eras.
I know.
Right. So my daughter is going the love era, which seems to be cowboy boots, a skirt, and a top. And then she said to me, Dad, what era are you going with? I don't like to swear on this podcast, Craig, but I was like, fuck, I'm out of my depth here. So what? When are you going, and what era are you going?
We're going Saturday night.
Right.
And
what are you going to wear? Are you going to dance?
Well, maybe to the dance. I'll probably get caught up in it someday.
Right.
But it was Valentine's Day yesterday, and my wife got me a Valentine's gift.
Yes.
The outfit for the concert.
Oh, outstanding.
And the outfit is a Kansas City's Chief Travis Kelce T-shirt.
Oh, this is good.
So maybe you got to get yourself to Rebel Sport. They might be sold out.
Maybe that's what I need.
So,
because some of the outfits she was running past me, I'm thinking, sweetie, I can't pull that off.
Yes. You maybe stay in your lane and
right.
stick to it. So that, I'll be there. We'll be... And it is, my little 7-year-old's got a fringe cut, and she might not listen to this until she's older. It's not a great fringe. It's not a great look.
Right.
We love you, but it's not. Yeah, it's not working for you. But hey, that's at the depth that these kids are going to. They love it, huh? This is big.
But it's what you're talking about balance and family, and I that was my best moment of my whole summer.
Yeah.
Was thinking how excited my daughter was, and that I'm going to be able to share it with her. And we're driving up together, and we're going together. We're staying in town.
Yeah. No,
you can't get that stuff back, can you? I guess you can get a footy training session back, but you can't get that back.
Yeah, and that's the essence of what we're trying to do at the club is that, we've got all the kids in there and the families come to school holidays. They're running water with it, and it's just giving the place a whole different feel. And, all the wives and partners are there. I'll share a story.
Please.
Alex Penderbury's mum, Wendy. Wendy came to this is a couple of years ago now. We just tried to do some aftermatches. And COVID had just been. And Alex Penderbury comes up and says, Fly, I just introduced you to my mum. I said, lovely to meet you, and nice to meet you, Wendy. And my wife was there. And she goes, Wendy goes, this is the first time I've been to the club since Scott's played.
And you've been there forever.
16 years at that stage. And I thought, wow, we're getting somewhere. This is cool. Wow. This is cool. You're all welcome, and you're starting to feel safe and valued and appreciated, and the families are in. Anyway, within about 6 weeks, there's Alex Penner, his cousins and uncles and aunties and everyone, and it become this real big thing after match. So we got this family feel about the
But
place.
that's what, like, I live in a small country town, Barwon Hedge. You go into the rooms afterwards.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
That comes back to telling your kids to have fun playing footy. That's what it is. Your uncle's there and your brother's there and your wife's there.
Yeah, and we wanted to make it feel like that. I wanted it to feel like a country footy club. We, to the point where we almost have a meat tray raffle at the end of the game. So we went from the MCG back to our facility, and it just got bigger and bigger, and to the point where it just feels like a club. And AFL footy doesn't always feel that way. And we've brought everyone in, the kids and family. So at the end of that year, we played a prelim final, and all our partners go as well. So we don't travel much. I say that out loud. But the partners go with their kids. We lose by 1 point to Sydney.
Stunning game of football.
Great game of footy. And I'd never been involved with a game where you lose a final and the whole crowd claps you off. And that's, we talked about being winners. And winning's not always on the scoreboard, and we found ways to reference winning without the scoreboard. But the whole crowd clapped us off, and we tail between the legs. We weren't quite good enough. I get in the rooms, and there's this emotion. There's this tears flowing, and there's emotion. And I didn't want to look at my wife because I knew I'd cry. And there's there, and I'm trying to console people and be stoic, and then I was overwhelmed by emotion when I saw my wife. But then I saw Jack Crisp's little girls playing chasey, running around the change rooms. And I thought, no, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Because when something goes really well in your life, who do you ring?
Family.
When something goes bad, who do you ring?
Family.
And so we've got our family there when things go well. Grand final day, what a great experience. They're all singing the song with us. And when things go bad, prelim final year before, they're there for us as well. So we don't fall as far.
We could go through your vast gain of experience, but let's just say you are Collingwood. You're the coach now. I did want to ask you about how you address a loss, but you've explained to me, and I wanted to ask you about that game. Just in that first year, before we get to the successful year, I just had a look on that Footy Data website, whatever it's called. AFL Tables it's called. It's got everything when you're trying to commentate a game. So your starter senior coach had 2 wins, and people forget this. And then there's 3 losses. So your game 3, 4, and 5 are losses. At that point, when it's the biggest club in the land and you've had 3 losses, and I'm sure you've got things you're sticking to, does it start to weigh on you or not? How does the pressure of 3 losses go 5 games into your coaching career?
Yeah, it was heavy. I do remember we lost the West Coast to it. Funnily, I don't know if they won too many more games that year. But this is the reality of sport. And now, reflect on it now, and I'm more aware of it now than ever, that people forget the struggle of success. They do.
I had. If you'd said to me, Craig lost 3 of his first 5 games, I would have thought, no, mate, as soon as he got there, they started winning.
No, and it's not the case. And same as last year, we had struggle. We had no ruckman for 6 weeks. There's struggle and there's ebbs and flows. You lose 3 of the last 5 games this year, or just go on. No, I don't lose sight of that year. And there was another period where we lost 2 in a row, including a Friday night game.
Yep.
And I don't even know what we were on the ladder, but we weren't going so well. I remember going to a board meeting, and we just lost 2 in a row. We might have been like, I don't know, you got it there, have you?
Well, I actually took a photo of it for that reason. So 1-1, lost 3, 1-2, then lost 2 more. Lost by 27-48.
So what were we on the ladder at that stage?
Well, I don't know where you're on the ladder,
wins
but
or losses.
of your first 11th on the ladder, Tommy's all over it, and you've lost 5 of your first 9 games.
Yeah, so we're 5 and 4 or something like that.
Yeah, so I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I do. I've never.
Well, and then it's won by 4 points, 4 points, 11 points, 5 points, 7, 5, 5, 4, 4, but we can get to that.
We won 10 in a row from that point.
So there's a board meeting.
Yeah, so just before the board meeting, so we lost it on a Friday night. We had a few guys sick. Pendles was a late withdrawal. And if you look at the team we put out there, it was really an experienced team. And we're in a formation of trying to change game plan and things. I remember this is a defining moment for this group. That I was home. We played Friday night. Saturday morning, I couldn't get out of bed, and I'm just going, I can't get out of bed, and I'm just tossing and turning of what to do. What's the next move? And my wife comes and gets me. It might have been lunchtime. You got to get out of bed. I said, I can't. And she goes, You got the solutions, Greg. You know what to do. And I said, I don't. She goes, yes, you do. Just be you. And it was so profound.
What a great wife.
And she's incredible. And she goes, just be you. I said, what? She goes, be positive, Greg. It's the only way through. And so I had this moment like of clarity going, right, I don't care what we've just done or what we've been, this is who we're going to be. And I rang all the assistant coaches, said, don't come on Monday and tell me what we're not doing. Go and find the evidence of the things that we're going to be. Don't come and show me, this, that and the other. So I walked in on the Monday, and with that analogy, at this stage we weren't talking deep wins, shallow losses, but on a Monday, just rocking, you wouldn't know if we won or lost. I walked in with a complete and utter positivity that the group weren't ready for. They were thinking they're going to get whacked and...
Roll all style.
Here comes...
You blokes are smiling on the bus!
You were smiling on the bus, mate, and now you're off the bus. No, but it was a complete opposite of what they were expecting, and I had all this evidence of and it was back. If anything, we might have been moving too fast, thinking that the players had got what we were trying to be. Went straight back to a DNA, which we had a slide that we wanted to be, and all this evidence of us doing it from pre-season to now, and we went straight back to basics of. But the positivity was something that like this group was going. It was a moment like, oh, okay. All right, I'd like in my time to coaching some teams that sometimes teams can get depressed, and I don't want to
As a group.
I don't want to use that word in context because I know it's so different in sport to life.
No, I understand the context.
Yeah, so sometimes there's a dog in the corner that's been kicked a few times and likes to stay in the corner, and you have to just ease its way out. And pat it a bit more and reward the behaviour. And I liken this team to that. So I was patting and taking the dogs for a walk and encouraging more than just one little strike. That dog is going straight back to the corner. And I felt this group was a bit like that. That was the method. That was the method to go positivity, reward behaviour, don't care what we're being. And it really drove us to not really just letting things go a bit. It was probably the start of it. Like, yesterday's done. Today's a new day. Tomorrow's going to be this. And then we just got to work. And like you said, I think we won 10 in a row. And
All crazy close games.
Yeah.
I'll mention them because Tommy will be able to put her in there. So you beat Fremantle by 36. Then you beat Carlton by 4. Hawthorn by 4. Melbourne by 26. GWS by 11, Gold Coast by 5, North Melbourne by 7, Adelaide by 5. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Essendon by 4, Port Adelaide by 6, Melbourne by 7. It's
like nothing else.
It is. It's laughable, but it was such a Jamie Elliott's kicking goals to win matches, and it's all of a sudden. I've never been someone to. I've never had like I hate this. That's not me as a person. I hate Collingwood. I hate Carlton. But when you work in it. But the thing was, when you would go to a Collingwood game to work, you knew it was going to be a great night at work because of just the whole joy that was happening.
And we're finding ourselves. We didn't know what our best version looked like. But during all these close wins, we were reviewing it deep. What about the second you could have wasted there? What about we got 2 minutes to go, boys. We can't do this. We got to move the ball a little bit that way. And we really drilled down to like I've never done before. So, because we're living in it so constantly, and it just become a formation, like a foundation for what grand final days just was. And the final series, we'd learned all these lessons for 2 years of how to win close games. When we're behind, we've got to do this. And we're forming this almost, I shouldn't say it, but it was such a bulletproof plan that players just knew what to do. And funnily enough, because we're in it so much, the opposition aren't living like we are. And it becomes such a competitive advantage for us.
And they know. That was the thing. You'd come back out of the three-quarter time break, Collingwood behind by 15 points, but X knows they're coming.
Yeah.
Like the whole ground, and therefore the opposition must be in the back of their mind. Oh, it's like when we used to play the West Indies and we have a fifer. You knew Dujon was going to come out and save me in a way. You just knew it was going to happen, so it would happen.
Yeah, and then it comes back to the point I made before, belief and confidence through actions. So we kept feeding this information to them, and so there's a huge belief. Hey, we're the best last quarter team in the competition by far.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what that scoreboard's saying. Let's get the method now. We know we have a system and a method in place, plus the belief. Then you get outcomes like that.
So it's there's so many ups and downs. Let's because I can't have you here for all day as much as I'd love to. Let's skip to the sugar hit of a grand final. Tell me something in grand final week that had a positive impact on you around the club, the group, the supporter base. Something where you thought this was good.
There's so many flashbacks. You think about the crowd that turned up to our training session. Yeah, they're bringing out a movie, Howie. It's coming out. It'll be out 28th of Feb, I think.
Right.
And I got to see the last cut of it a couple of days ago.
Like a Collingwood.
Collingwood movie, a documentary around our final series plus the journey of last year.
Did it give you goosebumps?
Yeah, it'll take you. You'll laugh and cry. Well, I cried.
Good.
and it shows. It follows around. Pendles, myself, Darcy Moore, and Nick Dacos for the final series, and it just tells a bit of a story. It takes us a bit deeper than what you've got, and so some of the stuff is close to my memory because I've just watched this. But the crowd at grand final week, the parade. I don't think the footage does the parade justice. Living it, I've never seen that many people, Collingwood supporters in one place mainly. That was such a memory. There's many. It was an incredible time.
And then obviously it's been well publicised, but you had an unusual grand final morning because you had a baby.
Yeah. Well, my wife went into labour in the car on the parade.
On the actual parade?
Yeah, and she didn't tell me about it. She just said she got some stomach cramps.
You didn't put two and two together?
No.
I guess your focus might have been elsewhere, but how pregnant was she?
She's panting there. Are you okay?
How pregnant was she?
She was due the next day. She was due grand final day.
And she said stomach cramps and father of the year, husband of the year didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
I may have taken a negative and what should be a positive there.
No, it's true. There was a lot of things that at that time that makes more sense now than what they did at then.
You obviously would have had a split focus as well.
Yeah. I can. And this is such a strength of mine, but it can be a huge weakness. Is I just don't get too consumed in things I can't control, and I just stay really present here.
I think that's a superpower.
But also, it's it can be a weakness.
But all our strengths aren't they?
It can be a weakness at home. Craig, what are we doing for the pregnancy? Look, it's a long way away. We have to qualify, and then
We have to qualify.
and then we make the finals. Craig, what about now? Oh, look, let's make a prelim final. And then, Craig, we've made the prelim final. What about now? Oh, look, it's the obstetrician's saying a week late. Let's not worry about it. Craig, it's grand final week. Don't worry, it's going to, see how my strength now can be a weakness.
The structures and processes.
Yeah.
I like it.
So it come in my eyes and ears unexpectedly, but it's on its due date. But what wouldn't want to change a thing.
But what a way to start your day. You and your wife celebrating, which is the greatest days of your life.
Yeah, that's right. It was incredible. And somewhat everything's going to be compared to that now. Like, there's anything else that's joyful in my life, I'll go, yeah, it's not quite as good as that day.
But how on earth, and there's great vision. I watched I can't wait to see the doco because I watched the half an hour yesterday, which was a lot of music and lead up and players in the rooms, and then you going in there and tell them that you'd had a baby boy when you'd actually had a girl coach.
Well, that explains like the euphoria in my head and how much I was just buzzing. Like you can imagine that I'm just buzzing. So there's no fear of any, and I must admit my personality profile. I actually have. Yeah, I've done a profile. I have zero fear of failure.
Right.
And
there's a strength.
Yeah, and so that helps in this job. But I've just got this joy, and I've even seen some stuff on socials only recently after the game, and I've said some stuff that's just not real. I'm just like busting on. Yeah, we've named Maggie after the magpie. No, we didn't. Cabral's middle name's Margaret.
Right, but it's the.
I'm just like I was drunk. I was drunk on joy.
Yeah.
And so I said some strange things. Funnily enough, nothing that was affecting the game, only just over the silly stuff around the edges of it. But I was in this complete clarity and almost in the zone like a player when you play your best footy, or you just living and so present to everything. I could see the particles of air. Like
Really?
I was so present. It was crazy.
I'm going to talk to you about the grand final. You answer as long as you want. Just give me brief thoughts on what I ask you as we go through the grand final. So the grand final starts. Nick Dacos kicks the first goal. Unbelievable year. How did you deal with Nick after he hurt himself? Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? How did you deal with that?
I live in this space that I don't want to put ceilings on things. I thought it was going to be unlikely that he got back, but I wanted to believe that he would. And our high performance manager, Jared Wade, is incredible. He drives similar thought process around let's not put a ceiling on this, but it was originally a 8 to 10 week type injury, and there wasn't 8 to 10 weeks left. So credit to him, he works like no one else at his game and himself. And referring back to this movie, you'll see it. You'll see the struggle he had to do to get back, and you can see him only a couple of weeks before the finals not looking like he's going to make it.
Zach Bailey kicked 2. If they'd won, they would have been Luke Hodge story grand final goals. What's happening in the box when a bloke like Zach Bailey, who you might think is going to get 20 and play a good game, all of a sudden kicked 2 in the first term?
Yeah, what a player.
Oh, what a player.
I think I'm trying as best I can to, we get accolades for winning, but I'm trying the best I can to make sure that Brisbane are recognised, and history maybe won't see this, but what an incredible game, and small margins again.
Small margins.
And his goals, McCarthy's goals, Charlie Cameron's goals, the game itself, Danaher, the game itself was such a cracking game of footy. Brisbane were really gallant. And so to see the best of the best, I'm in awe watching it.
But in a decision-making process, how's it working in the box? Is it? This is what we don't see. Are you calmly saying who's on Bailey or what are we doing about this, or is that does not how it works?
No, Justin Lepage has got this incredible model for us he's developed where we sit down the day before and whatever scenarios in the game that we think are going to transpire, we've already got answers to them all. And it comes up like a traffic light system and so he's developed this. So most of the things that are happening, goals kicked, whatever, but it's about how the goals are being kicked, whether it's from turnovers and transition or stoppage. And then we have, we know how Brisbane, all their strengths are in there. And, generally they try to get territory on you and keep you hemmed in. The game wasn't really being played like that. We were dominating a bit of territory, but they were getting sort of through the back of us. So it was our defensive system that was failing us at times. But the brilliance of individuals, you have a bit of a what-if around it, but some of that you just can't control. It's how the ball's getting there is what you can control sometimes,
Nathan Murphy gets knocked out. Do you speak to him on the phone at all?
No. I leave it, and again, I'm in the moment.
Yep.
That's done. Can't control it. Move it to the side. Care about the individual. But at that time, you can't because he's taken off for 20 minutes. So I'm just like, all right, there we go. What was our plan? Right, if we lose it back, we're moving this. I think it might have been Jack Crisp we need support. So we asked that question, is that still the move that we want to do? Yep, Crispy goes back. So there's a level of calmness because you already made the decisions. But then there's always a cost. Oh, he's going quite well there. We sure we want to just do that? Yep. What about this? No, let's stick with the original plan. So that's the pragmatic approach to it. Then there's the human side.
Yes.
He comes back being sort of ticked off the green light. I think he's passed the concussion test is what we've been told. He's sitting there ready to go on. So, okay, good. And then the moment he started to get some delayed reactions and doesn't feel he's right, still don't have enough time to step outside of the game to go and console the guy, but you can't, just in your head you go, oh shit, I hope he's okay. And then the game keeps moving. But if you see at the time, Pendles goes and consoles him. It was a real good moment. It was a good moment in reflection of the way we want to live ourselves and look after each other.
I said to you at the start of this that if anything comes up that I ask or that you answer that you want to cut out, and this hadn't occurred to me, so answer this as you will, and if your answer doesn't come out right, we will cut it out. Obviously, there's been, we've seen Paddy McCartan retire from the game, various players retire from the game. As a person, do you have concerns about someone like Nathan? Like he wants to play footy, but then there's the other side of it. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think there's a balance again. I care about Murph more than him as the footballer.
Yeah, of course you do.
And I had this chat to him only last week. Said, I want my best interest is you, mate. Let's worry about you. Yeah, footy's a game. Yeah, life's forever. And so there's this level of like comfort that we can just chat generally about that. We'll support him, and we'll allow him to have the time he needs to feel comfortable to be able to go out and play again. And we don't want to put any time pressure on. There's no time pressure needed for that. He's a valuable player in our team, very valuable player, but he's more value as a human and hopefully a father someday and a husband and within all that. So there's a lot more life to give. And I think the scary thing right now, there's so much unknown in this part of sport, but there's more being put in your face to be worried about, isn't there?
There is, as a parent too. Okay, DeGoey kicks a goal for a 10-point lead after the siren. I get to DeGoey. Second quarter, they kick a couple of early goals. Cameron, you mentioned McCarthy, and then you're down by 13, which I didn't remember. Calling the game, you don't remember it. 7 minutes 53 to go. Do you have a sense in the box that everything's still okay? Like, it's funny because in my head, I've asked you the wrong question because I said Bailey's kick too, and I'm like, do you think about changing the player on him? But you, without pulling me up, you explained that it doesn't work like that. You said it's our defensive structures. Is everything still okay in the game? At 2 goals down, deep in the first half.
No, there was a wave against us at stoppage. Most of it was coming from stoppage, and then losing an aerial contest, losing ground level goal. That was it. So we're addressing what we're doing around the stoppage. We're addressing the aerial contest. We feel like the defenders aren't getting kill spoils on it, and it's hard when Danaher's 204 and Howe's 190 whatever he is. So you can't clear the area, and they've got so much damage at ground level. So you've got to get it away from there. Soft drops, Cameron's kicking goals. Soft drops, they're getting involved in the game. So those are the things. Address the source. Try to fix it if we don't, and then even the ground level, our defenders' positioning, we're sort of talking through that a bit too. So half time, we sort of put that in front of them a bit, but at that time, there's definitely a thought process like, geez, we've got to wrestle some momentum back here, and we kicked I think Crispy kicked a great goal outside 50 not long after they hit 13 points up. Yeah,
he did. So before that, 5:47 to go, Bobby Hill takes a hanger.
Yeah.
So Bobby Hill takes a hanger, and then he's kicked his fourth. So this is a bloke from the Giants, had testicular cancer. He's got his own story to tell. Tell me about Bobby Hill.
I don't know where you want to start. My first encounter with Bobby was the year before we wanted to get him on the books, and he had Essendon in his sights, and we were sort of like sitting there. Yeah, first slip, and it didn't work out. The Giants didn't want to do the deal with Essendon, and we were trying late to come, and it got too late. I was communicating with Bobby via text, and when it didn't work out, I didn't drop the phone. I kept going, and I just wanted to wish him well and be watching with interest. We're really keen on you, mate, and I kept the text alive throughout the year, and not to the point where it would have been overwhelming for him. Just little bits, and when he got ill, just hoping, mate, hoping things go really well. Really, really thinking of you. And then again, it's not overwhelming, but it's just enough to show that, hey, mate, we're not just this one moment care about you. We're going to be caring about you for, and hopefully planting seeds that, if you're in our environment, we've got a level of love and support. And then it just eventuated that there was the door opened, and I met him. He's a lovely young lad. Got his own struggles, got a young family, and the world's aligned, and then he got to our club, and one thing I noticed with Bobby when he arrived was like how happy he looked. And I just said, Bobby, keep smiling. And it's like smiles. No, more. Like, come on. So he looked happy and he looked motivated. And then I started doing stuff at training going, whoa, this kid's ready to explode.
Wow.
So, but having only played 30-odd games at that stage and a couple of years and had a few setbacks, not a regular contributor or whatever, we felt like our environment could help him fast-track a bit of that. And then the year goes and he plays most games, and what we saw grand final day probably is a combination of the smiling and the training and the love and support and the family connected at home. And I tell you this, and I can't share much more, there was a lot of struggle throughout the year for him as well. This is not all the grand final days like all we see. But he knows the struggle for success, as we all do. But I was smiling. With him.
The crisper, one of my favourites. I love the crisper, who's got an unbelievable finals record. Kicks a goal after the siren to leave by a goal. One thought, why has Jack Crisp never missed a game when he's been at the Collingwood Football Club?
Well, he should have missed a few. Like, we talked about resting players last year and managing them. And all the, like, Pendles and these guys say, go up to Crispy, tell him you're going to rest him.
When he's like at 220 in a row or something.
Yeah. Jeremy Howe goes, do it, Fly, come on, and film it. The boys will love it. Because he's just determined not. He's got this record now that he's hanging on tight to it. Even when he's like, he won't tell people he's injured. Maybe, I'm not sure if that's real, but to the point, that's how focused on this record he's got. But it's a great example of someone that just prepares so exceptionally well to perform. He hasn't missed a training session almost as well. Right. Like, it's not like he's consistently turning up. Obviously, ability to play with injuries that others don't along his journey. He would have had to. But it's a remarkable record. And
he's always, whenever they discuss him, he was I can't remember the deal, but he was the steak knives, etc., etc. Third quarter, Bobby Hill takes it in the pocket. Everyone thinks he's going to have a shot. He kicks it to Pendlebury. 2:26 to go. He puts you 5 points up. I remember watching that thing. There is no way Scott Pendlebury is going to miss this goal. Like, you put it in the book. Tell me something about Scott.
Oh, Pendles is. I've just seen him really, really mature and have at ease with where he's at. His grand final was one of his best games ever. Surely, and the last quarter in particular. Great father, great husband. The things I see, and just a guy that's. I think he's just really happy that he's got to finish his career like this, because it could have gone a different way. And now he's seeing the comfort in that and appreciating what he's got. But he's an incredible teacher and coach. Like, I feel like he's an assistant coach. And I've built a relationship with him. I feel really comfortable to share anything with him, and vice versa. Yeah, what an asset.
Final quarter. 5:30 to go. Cameron kicks a goal. The Lions lead it by 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking the whole way through calling the game, you don't get much time to think about it, but you think Collingwood's got this game. That, like, they seem to be in control. And I remember looking at Das, and he's pointing at the scoreboard. It's like, shit, Brisbane are in front here. And then, for me, Pendles to Dacos, who's mid-air when he flicks that arm pass out to De Goey. And it's like he's across the body from nearly 50 to Goey.
Yep.
Goal aside, you stuck by him through some tough times. And you really put your arm around him when the world was saying, he's made a mistake overseas or whatever. Drop him, get rid of him. He should never play football again. The reactive world that we live in, which is the pylon. Tell me about your relationship with Jordan De Goey.
I'm extremely proud of Geordie's growth as a human, and he's still a work in progress, as we all are. But I've never seen a young man more comfortable in himself than now. Like, this pre-season he's had I've never seen him have a pre-season, so he's in great physical shape and mentally in a great place. We're all on a journey of discovery, aren't we?
Yes.
Some just take a little bit longer to do it.
And we don't all do it under the public eye.
Correct.
In our 2023. Like, this is the thing I don't understand. If I look at me and my mates, if we were under public scrutiny at age 23, we'd end up on the front page of the paper as well.
Yeah.
and we would have been.
And the back page, Howie.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been the back page. I think it would have been more the front page, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like, and that's, we understand it. The competitive sport, and the attention that this state in particular gives, and I'm just wrapped that we did wrap our arms around him, and we did bring him closer than not push him away, and we allow people to make mistakes and grow instead of make mistakes and go over there and you can't be here anymore. But that's an evolution of us as an organisation too. We've evolved how we handle things. We trust a bit more maybe than once prior. But there has to be accountability to this too. There can't be just like, you can just make mistakes and that's okay. That's not what we're saying. It's like, I've used the analogy before. If my kids, I don't condone everything they do, but I'll love them. And that's the way we want to treat our people, that you'll make mistakes and we'll have to have accountability to some certain things. But at the end of the day, we sit down and have dinner together and we sit around and tell each other what we're grateful for. We love and support each other. So that's the essence of the environment we're creating. But it's never finished and it's always moving, isn't it? There'll be another version of it somewhere that we're going to have to wrap our arms around someone and show accountability and educate and move on. It's just forever.
50-metre penalty to Steele side bottom. I guess he's 53 out. Do you think he can kick the goal from there?
No, on the bench we're sort of having a giggle going, he's no chance. Do you think he'll pass it? Do you think he'll kick it to the top of the square? Geez, he flushed it, didn't he?
Oh.
Absolutely flushed it. Post high.
Yeah. How many seconds are on the clock?
4 minutes 30 to go after he kicks that from memory.
So how is that last 4 minutes? Danaher kicks that goal.
Can I say, those 2 points, 7 points, 4 points that you talked about?
Yeah.
We learnt so many lessons in that time about how much time we could save.
With the ball,
and how much time is too much time. Anything over 6 minutes, very hard to stop a team from scoring.
Okay.
And maintain the game. In essence, without giving too much away, 2 to 3 minutes is about the ballpark that you can maybe control the game without anyone scoring. Maybe. You still have, this could happen, umpires or whatever. It's very difficult. So we're watching clock and minutes, but then we've learned how to kill 7 seconds, 11 seconds. We've learned,
little chunks.
We value time so much. We started off playing the minutes. That was our mantra. We ended up playing the seconds.
And what happens when there's 1:35 on the clock and Danaher kicks the goal and they're a kick away from winning the grand final?
Yeah. There's that level of uncertainty, but then there's a level of trust. Just get the job done, go and execute. Players are so well driven. You know where you need to be. You know what's required. We've done it X amount of times. Go do it. And so we just have to do the plan.
And the siren sounds?
Joy. Yeah. Surreal feeling. Like you can't put it to words. It's just craziness. And then you don't realise what you've done until you see the smiles on people's faces. And then you see the tears. And then you see your family. And it just all comes to you like, wow, this is, incredible.
Final one I have for you. This is the most important question I have. It's uncomfortable. There's two men that don't know each other that well, but you have to look me in the eye. This defines you as a father, a husband, a premiership player at Brisbane, Collingwood coach, proud South Australian, Craig McRae. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
See, Tommy, I told you the man was worth getting on the show. I know, because you're a Carlton man, Tommy. You didn't want to have him on. You're against it. Outstanding answer. Outstanding. We always finish this the same way. And being a teacher and a father, you will understand the way to this question. You've had an incredible journey, Craig, and congratulations with everything you've achieved. And it's a brilliant podcast. People are going to love it. You didn't like talking about yourself, but you did an amazing job. For those youngsters that are growing up that want to achieve success in their field, whether it's sport, the arts, entertainment, science, what advice would you give them that you've picked up along the way?
Oh, so much.
Weighty question, huh?
It is. It's a heavy one. Never quit. Never quit anything. Be prepared to struggle to succeed. Set goals. Well, have a dream first. Dream big, then set goals. and have fun doing it, and be grateful for what you got, because it's not always going to be there, is it?
It's a great answer. You actually said to me when you came back from your break that you have to go in and tell some young men that their future is not with the Collingwood Football Club. How do you wake up in the morning knowing you're doing that?
Well, it was hard last night knowing that we've made a decision around what that looks like. Heavy heart, try to put myself in their shoes, and then, I think you got to go straight to the point. Don't mess around with it. You got to tell them what's happening, but then try to offer some form of love and support while you're doing it. Difficult to do.
I appreciate your time. I mentioned earlier on you've brought fun to footy, which from the outer, and when you're commentating, it's great to watch. May there be many more 21st style runouts from your football club, mate. Congratulations, and may there be much more success for you in Collingwood. And I appreciate your time and your ability to talk about yourself when you weren't always comfortable. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Harry. Cheers, mate.
Well done.
Thank you.
Done.